Hi, my name's David Christopher. I'm from Pubcon Digital Marketing Services. I'm our Senior Inbound Marketing Manager. And I'm going to talk to you about targeted inbound marketing strategies for small brands. This is a presentation that I first gave at Pubcon New Orleans earlier in the year. I'm a fan of this quote: "You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation." That's Plato. And it's very true. When I started to try and play basketball, I'd moved from England to America, I sustained this wound. It's a ruptured Achilles tendon. Irony of ironies, I'd only ever played 2 games and never scored a point. But I can tell you firsthand that change is hard. This is an unnatural inbound links warning of the kind that Google sends to webmasters through Webmaster Central. And it basically suggests that this website has, it thinks something fishy is going on, something spammy, something untoward with its backlink profile. Perhaps it's part of link networks. It's part of Google's war on anybody who would seek to unduly influence search engines. Of course, that affects search engine optimization specialists, link builders and content marketers, because really this is what we do and what we're paid to do. So Google has not only moved the goalposts, it's changed the game that we're playing, and we've had to adapt. As formerly an SEO agency, now a digital marketing services agency, previously our competition has been other SEO agencies, essentially. But now that's not the case. Now local agencies, marketing and branding agencies like this one, VI Branding, look at these sexy young people. Now these are our competition. We actually did a little bit of work for them a while ago, some SEO work, and then they went ahead and hired an in-house SEO, brought that expertise in-house. SEO, link building, they're not that hard to learn, and they're not that hard to hire. Challenging, but not impossible. And now, of course, these guys have all of the marketing experience and all of the PR experience, and we need to kind of we need to learn from them. We need to understand what they do, how they do it, and get as good as they are at those kind of things, and supplement that with the digital side. So I don't know if you know, but in England, sticking 2 fingers up like that actually means F off, or up yours. So this is obviously a highly offensive photograph for me. So our response to this was and is Confluence. Our intention is to use a conference for bloggers and digital influencers to connect with influencers within our market, to learn from experts, to bring them in from all across the country, to create a community, and to establish our credibility as an agency. So we started to figure out how we were going to put this event on, and we found a great theatre, perfect little theatre for the event, 280 seats, but doing the profit and loss, realized that meant that we would need to sell more than 100 tickets, which is ambitious for an event, the first time you've ever done it, and you have 2-3 months to plan it. But we went ahead and did it, and I started to go out and meet people. These are just some of the people that I met while setting up the conference. These are local, some of them are nationally recognized, and all sorts of experts in all sorts of fields that sort of surround digital influence, really. And what I found was that each time that I met somebody, I was pitching to them, pitching the conference. And I started pitching it as not a Blogging 101 conference, but after a while at least, I ended up talking about it as a lovingly curated blogging and digital influencer conference. A pitch is something that lives and breathes, and something that you can only get better by doing it over and over again and realizing really what works for folks. So pitching has become a really important part of what any digital agency does. We really need to get our clients buy-in on great pieces of content, on exciting ideas for events, as well as just making the initial sale, which can be challenging. There's a lot of education. So as an SEO, formerly, I pulled the keyword research together for a blogging conference and digital conference in Oklahoma City, and surprise, surprise, there was no traffic according to Google Keyword Planner. None of these keywords had any traffic, none of the local keywords. So I did what I'm now calling de facto SEO. Basically called a spade, and just laid it out. Okay, well, what is it? And here it is, the page title, which is the most important part of a page for SEO purposes, the highest relevance factor element of a page. Confluence, Oklahoma's Blogging and Digital Influencer Conference. Great. My SEO supervisor looked at this and he said, hey, I looked at your keywords that you're targeting and there's a lot of Oklahoma City and OKC in there. And then I looked at your page title and I noticed that you're not mentioning the fact that this is in Oklahoma City. And he was right. But I had a gut feeling that it was going to work out. And then lo and behold, Google figured it out. They've gotten unnervingly good at this. And this is where we rank now, or as of February the 14th. Number one, and on the first page for nearly everything, including conference, OKC. So just being a conference in Oklahoma City, we're one of the top 10 apparently, after just one conference, which is great. But my point is that we didn't need to be explicit with Google that we were in Oklahoma City. They figured it out. We only mentioned it once on the page. But based on all the links that we were getting from all of the Oklahoma City news, and bloggers, and all of these different places, events listings, Google figured it out. So these are the inbound marketing strategies. It's a graphic from Moz. And it's kind of overwhelming if you're new to inbound marketing or content marketing to look at all these different ways. I really like this, aka all the free traffic sources. It's a nice way to think about it. So my point is, though, that you don't start with all of these. You want to have a good understanding of as many of them as you can, and a specialism in one or two at least. But you really usually start with fewer, and these are just the ones that we leveraged for the promotion of Confluence conference. But we would start with just one. An idea really starts with one. So online video, for instance. Well, I saw Phil Nottingham talk at MozCon, and he said that a user who watches online video is twice as likely to convert and spends 9.1% more money on average. Great. Well, that's an e-commerce statistic, but I think it's applicable. So now this online video strategy is touching, well, the online video strategy is about the conversions that I just stated there. People are more likely to trust you and to understand you and to convert. But we would bring SEO into this because we can get a rich snippet with a video, and here is that rich snippet. It's the video, essentially, on the left-hand side of the search result there. Why would we want that? Well, it increases the click-through rate because it's attractive and it's different. And how do you get it? Well, self-hosted videos. Wistia is excellent, and a video sitemap is all that you need. So then it came time to create this video, and I could just have myself talking about Confluence and what it is and why it's important, but I didn't. I pulled in two other people, Adam Kroom, who's the director for digital courses at OU, which is the largest nearby university. He also happens to be the guy who organizes TEDx OU, one of the largest conferences in Oklahoma. So he knows a ton of people, and he's very smart and eloquent. And then we were lucky enough to have Ruth Burr join the, come to the market, Oklahoma City market, and freelance. She's the lead inbound marketing, lead for Moz. So, she's a big name in the digital marketing industry, so I thought she could talk as well. So I invited them both in, and we created this video where, each of them kind of talked about why they thought this was a good thing for Oklahoma City. Now, immediately, this started to the ramifications of this started to emerge for inbound marketing. Adam Kroom, he took an Instagram shot of himself talking, and he said that he's plugged the conference, and immediately there's 23 people see it, and somebody responds. Great, so we're already getting a little bit of social traction. It's something small, but it really is something. And we have an advocate there, somebody who knows a lot of people and has influence within the largest educational institution in the state. So that's social networks and word of mouth. We're already pulling those things into this online video strategy. When we got some coverage from the Oklahoman, and full disclosure, my digital marketing services agency that I'm part of is owned by Pubcon, which also owns the Oklahoman. So we got this coverage, and they utilized this multimedia, this video, as an asset in the coverage, which was great. It also gave them a rich snippet for the news story. So now this online video strategy is bleeding into news, media, PR, and improving the quality of referring links and referring traffic. And then, once we had this great media asset, it linked to Moz, and I outreached to Ruth and mentioned to Moz that, you know, Ruth has only been in OKC for a bit and she's already got Moz in the newspaper, and I linked to the newspaper article. And this got a decent amount of activity. So this is the cumulative followers of people who are weighing in. It's not pure retweet sort of impressions, but nonetheless, so I only had 800 followers at this point. Ruth Burr retweeted it that brought us to nearly 7,500. And then the community leader at Moz retweeted it, brought us to 22,500. And then Moz's principal Rand Fishkin responded, and then the Moz channel itself responded, and that brought us to nearly 500,000 people who could potentially be exposed to this messaging, and that essentially somebody from Moz is talking at an Oklahoma City conference. Well, we then ended up on the Moz events list. It's not a link, however, but we started to notice an increase in type-in traffic, people looking for our brand, which is another inbound marketing source. And here it is. If you type in Confluence, Google Auto Predict will suggest that Confluence Conference and Confluence OKC are two of the top 3 reasons that people search for this term. Now, how we started to drive that was we also utilized traditional forms of promotion. You know, we saw ourselves not just as a digital conference and not just as confined to the digital world, but this is us putting up posters, and at the bottom right, that's a digital advert that we put on some websites. When it came time to order t-shirts, we had 2 bids. The original bid was for t-shirts from our usual vendor, which we ordered a small sample and I hated them. They were baggy and cheap and thin and white. So I started talking to a local t-shirt place called Tree and Leaf, which were more expensive, but they were much higher quality on American Apparel t-shirts and local, and asked them if they would take pictures of the printing process while they went about it. And they said, yeah, they would love to. So they did, which was brilliant. And here they are. This was the first year we ran the conference, and we were desperate to have photographs of things to do with the conference that had never happened before. And these came along at just the right time. Use some of these as homepage images for the conference. But of course, having that kind of content is great. Tree and Leaf blogged about it, basically. I'd asked them to create these photos. They'd done a great job. And they put a whole blog together with a link to us, to the conference, all about this, their process of printing. They have 4,000 followers, and here's the tweet that they put out about that printing. Now, they're a local business, and you can see a decent amount of engagement here. That kind of attention to detail in the campaign, the marketing campaign, won us an Addy Award, which is exactly the kind of awards that folks from VI win. It puts us in the league. It gets us on the radar as a legitimate marketing outlet. And it allowed me to create some social proofing for our website. And here it is at the bottom right, campaign materials winner. We're a 2014 Addy winner. So the main inbound marketing tactics that we utilized were blogging. They centered around blogging and lots of different types of blogging. And when I presented this at Pubcon, one of the questions was a really excellent question, which is, what do you do if one of your clients does not, content marketing clients, does not allow you access to their blog and by extension their social media channels? And my answer to that is twofold. If they're big enough and they do enough that the number of hours that you have sold them can be consumed effectively by digitalizing their real-world PR efforts, chasing up links from mentions and promoting events on events directories and all of that kind of stuff, then you might not need actual publication channels. However, if the client is not big enough, does not have a big enough brand and a big enough footprint, or wants to aggressively grow their brand and footprint online, then they absolutely need to have a way to publish. And if you represent them, you need to have a way to publish on their website. And a blog is definitely the best way to do it. It's informal, it's low-key, high-key enough that you can promote things and interlink the pages of the blog. They're well recognized as pages within the website, but low-key enough that you can do some things there, some marketing activities, without really raising too many eyebrows, essentially. So we're at the stage now where if we don't have blogging and social media access, and the client is not very big, we express to them that we have one hand tied behind our back, we cannot be effective, and we basically tell them that we can't do our job if we find that we can't do our job, or if we sort of reach the end of the road with what can be achieved with the tools at our disposal. So one of the great things about putting on Confluence was that we had the budget, we had all of the tools and all of the being a business at our disposal. We were our own clients, and that really was very vindicating for a lot of folks who worked on it. So the first type of blogs that we did were branding blogs. This is a blog, it was the first blog post on the website. It basically sought to answer who are we and what are we doing and why. And you can see there the pitch that I had been working on or molding as I had talked to speakers, so lovingly curated it's almost creepy, was the title. And that's a picture of me that my wife took of me while we were courting. We're in London and we're having a beer together. I'm literally looking at the camera and at her with love in my eyes. So that's what you're getting there. And it's basically a very transparent and open call to action of, hey Oklahoma, and Oklahoma bloggers and everybody who's involved in online, reach out to me, email me, call me. I want to buy you coffee, I want to meet you, I want to talk to you about Confluence, potentially have you talk. And then further down, I kept working and reworking this page to really get at our competitive advantages, and I'll just read it if I may. We've got YouTube sensations, social media entrepreneurs, rags to riches bloggers, design trend setters, inbound marketing wizards, crowdsourcers, and so much more. That's a link to our lineup page where we really kind of get into who is talking and why they're awesome. Confluence speakers speak at Pubcon, SMX, Altitude Summit, where you pay 10 times as much to see them. That's a link to this piece of content, where I basically looked at the cost to attend some other very popular conferences, the number of sessions that you would see, and the price per session, and found out that you basically get it's $4 per session at Confluence, and significantly more expensive at any of these other conferences, 10 times more expensive, essentially. And then the final competitive advantage was I want you to meet them, I want them to meet you, I want you to small talk over coffee, plow some common ground over lunch, get warm and fuzzy over a beer. And that links to our, it's a kind of a competition for where we should, or I guess it's a survey of where we should go for a beer, for the kind of social event afterwards. Because we were in this one district called the Plaza District with lots of great restaurants and pubs and things, and that kind of drove some social interaction too. So really, what I was getting at here is I was stating very bluntly our competitive advantages and then linking to things that proved them. Learn from the best, it's a hell of a deal, become part of a local community. Those are some of the the reasons why we're doing it, and they're the main reasons why I think somebody else would be interested in coming and attending the conference. So this initial blog post, I was working it so hard that I decided it should be our About Us page. So I kind of made it our About Us page, and it got lots of visits. And this is an interesting statistic. So our About Us page on our agency website has a 50% exit rate. And it's pretty good About Us page. It lists all of the staff, it's got a good call to action. It's a good one. This one, for Confluence, the lovingly curated, almost creepy post, has nearly a third as many exits. So linking out to those other pieces of content, I think basically it really worked. Kept people engaged and looking. So the branding side of this is what people often think of as blogging. Talking to the audience that you already own on your blog and on social media, and just continually telling them who you are and what you do. Well, that's great. If you have a big audience, that can be really worthwhile. But in my mind, that doesn't equate or equal inbound marketing, which is free traffic sources. It's talking to the audiences that you don't already own, getting them to your website. So the next three are examples of how we really were doing that. We were profiling people. This is Kayla Lewis, who is the Plaza District's communications specialist. Plaza District is probably the hippest district in Oklahoma City. It's where the conference was. We were involving a lot of local businesses, great for the economy of the Plaza District, and the venue destination as a potential conference venue as well. And so we brought her in, and this post, she kind of promoted it and helped us to promote it, and it got a decent amount of social engagement. And from then on, the Plaza District, which has 14,000 nearly followers, and scans very, very well with the demographic for which Confluence is attractive, they more or less retweeted or engaged with nearly everything that we did socially from here on out, which was great. It was great to kind of know her and to get her involved at such an early stage. She actually had the inside scoop on where the Oklahoma City Thunder were going to be having a Nick Collison's birthday party. It happened to be the night of Confluence, and it was a fancy dress Halloween party. And so we kind of all turned up early, having found out that this was going on, and we merged the Confluence after party with an Oklahoma City Thunder party. The Jason mask there, that's Kevin Durant. And this is one of our attendees, Forrest, who was absolutely thrilled to meet Nick Collison. He's a huge sports fan and actually came to see Royce Young of the Daily Thunder talk. We also conducted reviews and polls. I mentioned this one earlier. Where should Confluence folks head for dinner and drinks afterwards? Now, look at the Twitter followers of all of these restaurants in this district, and combined, it's more than 10,000 Twitter followers. And we were basically engaging them by reviewing each restaurant and then sort of feeding that all into this competition or poll where we would figure out which of them we would end up at. And of course, luckily enough, Empire Slice House, the one that was voted, was also the destination for the Thunder that evening. You can see that each post individually drove a fair amount of social activity and allowed us to connect with each of these businesses in turn and have them share to their audience. And at the bottom of each of these, we used Urban Spoonback program to get the posts linked to from Urban Spoon, which is a great website, has a ton of traffic, and it looks like this. So if you look at this restaurant and you look at the top people talking about it, they're Confluence conferences, and we actually are at the end of this, from these 6 or 7 restaurant reviews, we ended up being the 13th ranked food blogger on Urban Spoon. With 4,500 views. Now, that's driven 586 links to our website. There are many different ways in which Urban Spoon uses that content and pages that it puts it on, but we're constantly getting new links from Urban Spoon for these pieces of content. So it's a great strategy, as well as traffic. But you could do even bigger things with it, and here's one of those things. This is a client of ours, Credit Union House. They do weddings, receptions, they're an events venue, they do conferences. So you could take this strategy, you could do some research on catering companies. Now, there's a lot of traffic for catering company reviews, but since they're not, you can't go to a catering company and review their products because it's not like a restaurant, you can't just turn up. So here's some traffic for the catering companies in our market, and if you Google one of them, Cheever's Catering Review, the content is very thin. There's only really one review, and then I think there's one or two reviews basically of the actual catering rather than the restaurant that they own. And then at the bottom, weddingwire.com, that one's okay, but look at the content. There's just 2 reviews that are 5-star, and that's it. Really nothing compared to what you would really want to see. So I feel that we could do better than this. I feel that we can answer something which is important. We can provide catering company reviews via our website. And here's how we could do it. Here's the outreach. Is all we need to know, all the research. Who are Oklahoma City's top food bloggers? Well, there it is, right there in Urban Spoon. There are 10 relevant domains, 20 to 35 domain authority, 15,000 Twitter followers, and 10,000 Facebook likes, shared out between just these 10 people. We create an event. We hold it at the Credit Union House, at which one of these catering companies comes and serves these 10 bloggers a dinner, a meal. And at this meal, they get to take pictures and meet each other and review this catering company, which is kind of a rare thing. They don't get to do that. And this is, the kind of visualization that we use to pitch this kind of idea. Really make it tangible. And the cost? Well, let's say it's $30 a head for 10 people, $300. Or if we pitch it to the caterer in exactly the same way, because they stand to benefit just as much from this as our client, the venue, they would do it for free. I'm pretty certain. So here's what it looks like. The Credit Union House has the meta blog, which basically talks about top few food bloggers reviewing this one catering company. And it links, as each of the food bloggers publish a piece, an actual review, it links to them, and they link to the meta blog, which explains exactly what's going on. And of course, immediately we have a ton of incredible links, and we know that each of these food bloggers got to where they are because they're highly engaged in Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and they're on Urban Spoon. So all of them are going to be using the Urban Spoonback program, as well as potentially getting links from other places. So you can guarantee that there's going to be a ton of authorities circling around this one idea. And one of my favorite things about this idea is that it's scalable. We can then do that again and again and again for different reviewers, and we can bring in different bloggers. And what we're doing is we're creating goodwill and a community, and we're giving back. And my favorite kind of blogs that we were creating are data-driven blogs. And this is one of them. We had 11 speakers, and there they are, combined 80,000 Twitter followers. So I wanted to answer the question, who follows the most Confluence speakers? And when I formulated that question, I didn't quite know where it would lead or why I was asking it, but I followed that. And so I utilized Followerwonk. And you can see here I put in and Kathleen, and I'm viewing all of her followers. And it spits out this. I have, here listed all of the followers, and you can see where my mouse is hovering, I downloaded that list into a spreadsheet. I added a column, which basically is the second column that you can see at the top right, which basically counted how many times each person followed each of the 11 speakers. So at the top there you can see Keep It Local followed 9 speakers. I then sorted it by that list so I could see answered the question and found that Keep It Local and Rob Chrissinger followed 9 speakers. And of course, I was filtering that data, and you can see there how I did that in Excel. It's very simple. I highly recommend that you do it. Once you filter data, it's very powerful. You can do all sorts of things. One of those things, to the right here, you can see, is that I filtered it. So I clicked here, and then I filtered the bios by the word journalist. And in that very simple way, I came up with a list of around about 20 people who followed a significant number of more than one, essentially, a speaker at the conference, and self-identified as journalists. Right there was our media list. These are the people that we need to go after until it's happening. And the approach is not just a, hey, here it is. The approach is, hey, we noticed that you followed X and Y. They're speaking at this event. I would love for you to cover them in your publication Y. Here's the formula for the count if function, where I was counting up how many times how many times each screen name followed each speaker. So what I found was 182 people followed 4 or more Confluence speakers, and we generated a media list out of that. But I wasn't finished there. I blogged about it. This is the post, an OKC conference you'll love, and I can prove it. Explain what our methodology was, and then I listed all of the people who had the most, who were following the most people. So starting with Keep It Local, who were following 9 and going down. The ones who followed the most, like here, Keep It Local, I gave them a lot of real estate. You know, I showed them, I put in their actual profile, the Twitter background, and linked to them, and you know, all sorts of things, and gave them a little bio. But as I went down, you know, that information, I just kind of made it a table of a link to their Twitter profile with their handle, and then their bio from Twitter. And then at the bottom of this massive blog post with 184 people name-checked, I sorted the data by influence, social authority, which is a metric on Followerwonk similar to CloudScore. And this is the 25 most influential people who follow 4 or more of our speakers. And there was a lot of Twitter activity going on about this. And then I outreached to our speakers, and I said, this was the only time I really outreached to them with a specific ask that related to marketing. And it just worked very well that I could tell them, hey, here's a blog post of people who follow 4 or more of you guys. If you see anybody on there who you know well, please reach out to them and tell them that they should come and attend, because they have every reason to. And they literally will probably be sad if they don't find out about this conference. And here's just, you know, some of the activity that happened on that day. This is Tyler Roberts, who was working on the campaign, mentioning the 6 accounts that kind of were the most influential, and you can see retweets, favorites, and responses. Anthony Skinner, who is the Chief Technology Officer for Moz, called it an awesome use of Followerwonk, and that's a quote that I used in my pitch to Pubcon to deliver this presentation, and clearly it worked. So what you're seeing here is our analytics for the conference, and the star is the day of the conference. That post was the first time that many people heard about the conference, and the people who came were, I think, especially likely to have seen that post. It was actually the most traffic that we received until we launched the videos here. So here's another piece of data-driven blogging. This is Danny Maloney of Tailwind. They're a Pinterest and social listening platform here in Oklahoma City, and he was speaking at Confluence. So I worked with him on generating some data from Pinterest to create this post on our blog, Pinning for Oklahoma. And of course, since this post was aimed as ego bait, essentially, for Oklahoma pinners, I made sure to lead with something that was pinnable, this Pinning for Oklahoma picture that we created. And then I lined out who the top pinners were, and the number of followers they had, the number of pins. I linked to a website if they had one, and to their Twitter if they had one. So this is a great resource. I mean, if you're interested in who's who in Oklahoma online, perfect. You know, this is exactly the kind of thing Confluence should be blogging about. But it gives us, again, an opportunity to reach out and keep up the good pinning Oklahomans. And I just mentioned the ones that I know have Twitter followings. These are the top 5. And it got 4 retweets to tens of thousands of people in a reply. And then we started to see the Pinning for Oklahoma badge starting to get pinned too. And there's the day that that post launched. You can see that these are really the events that are driving the traffic. So those are some of the things that we did with the blog. And one of the reasons that I know that it worked is this. I'm sad to not read any more ConfluenceCon blog posts. Those were the best. People were sad when we stopped blogging. So this is Rand Fishkin from Moz. And I really love this Whiteboard Friday that he did. I highly recommend you Google it or follow that bit.ly link. The death of link building and the rebirth of link earning. Link building is absolutely dead. And his message in this is we have reverted to link earning, which is essentially you have to do things in the real world and online that are worthy of gaining links before you can expect them. And then you need to go out and secure them. So don't put the cart before the horse and just think that links are what you need. Links aren't what you need. What you need is the kind of business that is worthy of generating links. And that's the goalposts completely moving. That's how the game has changed so completely for content marketing over the last 5 years and really over the last year. So here are the speakers who blogged about Confluence and linked. Some of the best links that we could have gotten in Oklahoma City. Some of the strongest websites. Yeah. Some of the attendees who blogged about Confluence, and there have been more. Some earned media and syndication. And then a ton of event links. Anytime you're doing an event, absolutely pursue these kind of links because some of them are great domains. For example, there are 2 local television stations here, KFOR and OKC Fox, as well as a KOSU, the local NPR affiliate station, and some good blogs as well. Now, one of these we went out and deliberately got. If you Google digital marketing conferences, and I call this SERP Analysis. So what I mean by SERP Analysis is you figure out what the highest traffic national or just really the highest traffic phrases that you could rank for if you or that you would want to rank for, and then you Google them, and then you look through those different search results. You visit the websites and you think, could I get on these websites? And if so, how? So if you Google digital marketing conferences, this incredible piece of content marketing comes up. It's by Luke Summerfield from Savvy Panda, a digital marketing agency. He went and put together, a year ago, he put together a digital marketing conference guide. He's updated it for 2014. It was a gap in the market. Nobody had it. But it's great. And here we are, Confluence Conference in Oklahoma City. And it links, and it's a followed link, which is great. But frankly, it doesn't matter that it's a followed link, because this website Luke shares with me gets 4,300 visits per month. And we see referrals in 1 month alone. We've seen 67 referrals from this one domain, from this one link. And look how qualified they are. They spend 1.5 minutes on the website. They're highly qualified leads. They're people looking for digital marketing conferences. They notice we're in Oklahoma City. They must be close or willing to travel, and they come and they see. They check us out. These are exactly the kind of links that are worth going and earning. First, you have to be worthy of them. Then you go out and you secure them. But this is a tactic that we've utilized for clients as well. This is The Kill, an auctioneer's house. They constantly do auctions. And so what we did was well, first thing we had to do was we had to install a plugin on their website to give each auction its own discrete page. That way we could then use that page and seed it across events directories across the web, and especially auction-related ones and Oklahoma City-related ones that would actually drive relevant traffic, and it's driven a lot of links. So this is a feeling for how the conference felt on the day. There's the inside of the theater, folks enjoying themselves and taking photos in front of the banner, and then folks learning. It was a success. And 130 tickets sold, 120 people came to the conference. But the ability to market didn't stop there for us. We were able to continue to sort of utilize the relationships that we have with our advertisers and develop new relationships with potential advertisers through our need for sponsors and our need for people to use competitions, sort of prizes for competitions. So we did a selfie contest, for instance, and we represent the Case Studio, who do customized selfie cases. Back after the Moore tornadoes in Oklahoma, we kind of worked with them to create these phone cases, Keep Calm and Okie On, with a local designer. And so we gave some of them away at the conference. And this was the hashtag competition that we ran. This is a BWAP backpack. You buy one and they give one to somebody who needs a school child who needs a backpack. A really great charity out of Oklahoma City here. And this is Elemental Coffee, a local coffee shop who traded a seat at the conference for a bunch of coffee. And these were some of the prizes for the selfie contest, which received 37 selfies. So what I heard from people who weren't at the conference but who are on Twitter was that Confluence really kind of blew up their Twitter feed. And one person even told me that they kind of had to get off of Twitter for that day because it was just too much. So our sort of platinum sponsor, Remington Park, we did this Twitter competition. They gave us a $1,000 prize, which was a suite for 10 at their races, with food included and gaming tokens. And the hashtag competition was Best Racehorse Name at Remington Park. 126 people tweeted submissions. We really blew up their mentions. And we started to trend. This is Tyler telling everybody that we're trending, and there you can see us trending. And it got so that people were actually making fun of us. This is Please Stop Greg, just confluenced your mum, which is really funny. I thought that was pretty awesome. He wasn't actually at the conference. So we sold 132 tickets, which is 32% over our goal, but we spent more than we had meant to. So we broke even almost, if you fudge the numbers a little bit. But it was certainly worthwhile nonetheless. So 18 people answered our post-conference survey, and 100% of them said that they would recommend the conference to a friend, which is great word of mouth. But also, nearly 100% said that it was a great value for money. And that's important because essentially, one of the motivating factors for this is to ingratiate ourselves and gain goodwill within the community. And if people feel that they got value for money from this conference, yes, they'll refer it to other people, but they'll also basically be grateful to us, and they'll be more open to relationships that span beyond the conference itself, talking to them about potential publishing relationships, or perhaps we can gain customers through this for our agency. Although that was always, it's never really a sell as such. It's all just about, we're doing this for these reasons, to connect with influencers, learn from experts, create a community, and establish credibility. But what we found is that you do those things, and it inevitably happens that people respect you for it, and they pursue you. And then we kind of shifted gears after the conference to growing permission assets. So these are permission assets are assets that somebody has allowed you to communicate with them in future, essentially. And Seth Godin is something of the expert here. He says permission is like dating. You don't start by asking for the sale at first impression. You earn the right over time, bit by bit. So we're in this for the long haul, and our intention is just to continue doing it for all the right reasons. So we now have 360 followers and 152 email addresses, which is a great place to start from for the second year of Confluence. And we changed our call to action on the website when we launched the videos. We changed the main call to action to watching the videos from 2013. And the main call to action on the text here becomes subscribe to our email list, and we kind of rolled that out across the website. Well, this is the Daily Thunder website, and it's a really popular Thunder blog. And finally, once we posted that video of Royce Young talking about Confluence, or his talk at Confluence, I should say, talking about Twitter, he finally linked to us. And he linked to us because we had great content of him. He wanted to link to this piece of content. He wanted to promote it. So in this Tuesday Bolts, he says, here's me rambling about Twitter for 20 minutes. It's very, self-effacing. It was actually a really excellent piece of content. The day we launched those videos, 343 page views. That was our, visits. That was our highest traffic day. And the 343 page views actually relates to the number of page views from Daily Thunder specifically. So a sizable amount of those came through that one referral source, that one website, that one very small mention at the bottom. That guy has a great audience who really read and care about him. Abraham Lincoln, a drop of honey catches more flies than a gallon of gold. And that really, if anything, is the message of this talk. And then, after the conference, this allows me personally to start positioning myself as somebody who puts on conferences and somebody in the market who knows the people who are influential and who curates that space. So here's a Harrow Help a Reporter Out query. I'd love to hear from anyone who has had an event for bloggers in order to promote a brand. I'll link to your agency or LinkedIn profile if you share your tips and what you've learned. And here that is on businessinterviews.com, me discussing it. And there's links to Confluence and to my own personal blog as well. Now that's a guest blog, basically. And Matt Cutts recently said for us to stick a fork in it. He doesn't like to see that. Fair enough, Matt. But the SEO blogosphere has taken that very literally. He also said, I'm talking about guest blogging for SEO purposes. The abuses of that. So how we qualify now blogs is we do this. We run them through SEMrush. And if they have a decent amount of search traffic and no suspicious looking drops, then we think that they're probably a healthy website because Google seems to think they're a healthy website. We also will only guest blog if it makes a lot of sense. So being on business interviews makes some sense, but it's a questionable case. This is Ion, Oklahoma, which appears to have been penalized. It's just search traffic has dropped off the radar. We had an opportunity to be kind of pursue a guest blogging relationship here, and we didn't go for it. For obvious reasons. You don't want to be associated with websites that are promiscuous. And there are other advantages to putting on this conference and of doing this kind of, what Will Reynolds would call real company stuff. This is one of our employees. He said, this is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Another one said, we've never worked so well as a team. And this kind of thing is so important for digital agencies, where hiring people is extremely difficult. You have to train them more or less from scratch when you get them, and then retaining them is extremely difficult. cultural displays like this are crucial. And then folks actually reaching out and sending us their resumes. After this event, actually, Ruth Burr, her and I developed a relationship, and we're friends. And we actually recently onboarded her, and she's now our manager of SEO, which is the best SEO hire we have ever made, the best hire that we as an agency have ever made. And it absolutely came from Confluence. She's a force to be reckoned with. So this is Google Analytics. Great report here. It's the overview report under acquisition. And in it, you can see over the course of the 3 months during which Confluence was being promoted, see the traffic sources: direct, Twitter, Google, Facebook, Daily Thunder, and their goal conversion rate. So that's how many people, what percentage of people who visited the website actually bought a ticket. And you can see that Twitter, we were right about Twitter. Either we were right, and Facebook too. But social media absolutely is a good place to try and sell a conference all about digital influence and digital marketing. But also a lot of direct traffic, a lot of the posters, a lot of the media that we were receiving, a lot of the advertising that we were doing was clearly working. And then Google, people started to Google our brand. But the direct sources you don't know about in there. They're all lumped under direct, which is why the survey after the fact of how did you hear about us is still really important if you have a real marketing presence in the real world. What we found was that people reported coming to us from the posters, from KOSU, we got mentions on the radio, and from print advertising. And then people reported Twitter and Facebook and referrals from news websites, PR, and from speaker recommendations. Basically, people came to us from all around, from all different places. Everything that we did, nothing was wasted. All of it was important. But next year, we'll have a really solid base from which to move forward on. And with 100% of people saying that they would recommend the conference to a friend, I'm pretty confident that that'll happen. So this is Ryan Groves. He spoke about relational creativity, about relationships, and about how belonging is at the heart of action. And he knows a thing or two about motivating action because he's the founder and CEO of Wishing Well, which is a charity that builds wells in Africa. And this is one of their events where a whole bunch of folks walked across Oklahoma City without shoes on, carrying a gallon of water to, highlight what it's like to live in a community where water is scarce. And I asked him at the conference, if belonging is at the core of how you change someone's actions, how do you get them to feel like they belong? To which he responded, you love on them. And I'd like to leave you with that. Thank you for listening.